Tonight's story is based on a house that should never have been entered. If you enjoy true horror-style stories, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now, turn off the lights and let's begin. The House on Blackwood Hill. There is a house in northern Pennsylvania that doesn't appear on any map. I've tried searching for it. I've driven those roads again. I've even contacted local historians. Nobody knows anything about it. Yet I know it exists because I spent one night inside it, and part of me never left. It started during the fall of 2022. I was 28 years old and worked as a freelance photographer. Most of my assignments involved abandoned locations, old factories, forgotten schools, and decaying mansions. People loved seeing places frozen in time. I loved capturing them. At least I did before Blackwood Hill. The assignment came from an online magazine. They wanted photographs of unusual abandoned properties throughout rural America. One location stood out: a massive Victorian house hidden deep in the Pennsylvania woods. The property had been vacant for nearly 70 years. The locals supposedly avoided it. Stories circulated about missing hikers, strange lights, unexplained screams, the usual ghost stories. I didn't believe any of it. Ghost stories existed because people feared what they couldn't explain. At least, that's what I thought. The drive took nearly 6 hours. The farther I traveled, the fewer houses I saw. By sunset, I found myself on a narrow road surrounded by endless forest. The GPS stopped working. Cell service disappeared. And then I saw it. The house stood atop a hill overlooking the woods. It was enormous, 3 stories tall, dark gray, rotting. Its windows looked like empty eye sockets. The entire structure seemed to lean slightly, as if struggling to remain upright. A rusted iron gate blocked the entrance. The words Blackwood Estate were barely visible beneath decades of rust. The moment I stepped through the gate, an uneasy feeling settled over me. The woods became strangely quiet. No birds, no insects, nothing. Only silence. The front door hung partially open. I pushed it wider. The hinges released a long, painful groan. The interior smelled of mold and decay. Dust covered everything. Furniture sat exactly where it had been left decades earlier. A grandfather clock stood in the hallway. Its hands were frozen at 3:17. I began taking photographs. The first floor seemed ordinary enough. A dining room, a library, several bedrooms. Nothing unusual. Until I found the family portraits. There were dozens of them hanging along a corridor. The Blackwood family. Parents, children, grandparents. Every photograph contained the same disturbing detail. Nobody was smiling. Not one person. Their expressions weren't neutral. They looked terrified, as if the photographer had captured them moments before something horrible happened. I tried convincing myself it was my imagination. Then I noticed something else. In the background of several portraits stood a tall figure, a dark silhouette, watching, its face hidden in shadow. I assumed it was a photographic defect until I reached the final portrait. The silhouette wasn't in the background anymore. It stood directly behind the family, closer than before. Its face still hidden, its hand resting on the father's shoulder. Something about that image made my skin crawl. I moved on. The second floor felt colder. Much colder. My breath became visible. The temperature couldn't have been more than 40 degrees. I entered what appeared to be a child's bedroom. Old toys remained scattered across the floor. A rocking horse sat in the corner. As I photographed the room, I heard a noise behind me. A creak. Slow. Rhythmic. I turned. The rocking horse was moving. Back and forth. Back and forth. I froze. The windows were sealed shut. There was no breeze. Yet the horse continued rocking. I backed toward the doorway. Then it stopped. The silence returned. I left immediately. By now, darkness had fallen outside. I planned to spend the night in my vehicle and continue shooting in the morning. But when I reached the front door, it wouldn't open. I pulled harder. Nothing. The door felt welded shut. Panic flickered through me. I ran to a nearby window. It wouldn't budge. Neither would any of the other. Every exit was sealed. Somehow I was trapped. Then I heard footsteps. Directly above me. 3rd floor. Slow. Heavy. Walking from one end of the house to the other. I wasn't alone. I grabbed my flashlight. Every instinct screamed at me to hide. Instead, I climbed the stairs. The footsteps continued overhead. Thump. 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 Each step echoed through the house. The 3rd floor consisted of a long hallway lined with doors. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, one of the doors slowly opened by itself. I remember staring at it, unable to move, unable to breathe. Darkness waited beyond the doorway. My flashlight beam revealed a narrow room, empty except for a single wooden chair. And sitting in that chair was a woman. Her back faced me. Long black hair draped over her shoulders. Motionless. I called out. No response. I took another step forward. The woman remained still. Then, her head tilted. Not her body, only her head. Slowly. Farther. Farther. Until it turned completely backward. I saw her face. Or what remained of it. The skin appeared stretched. The eyes were completely black. She was smiling. A smile far too wide for any human mouth. The flashlight slipped from my hand. The room went dark. I heard movement. Fast movement. Rushing toward me. I grabbed the flashlight and ran. Something chased me through the hallway. I could hear it. Its feet striking the floor. Its breath growing closer. I reached the staircase and nearly fell. The footsteps stopped at the top. I looked back. The hallway was empty, but dozens of faces peered from the darkness. Men, women, children, watching me, smiling. I ran downstairs. The grandfather clock suddenly began ticking. Tick, tick, tick. Its frozen hands moved. 3:17, 3:18, 3:19. The entire house groaned, as if awakening. Then every door slammed shut simultaneously. The sound nearly burst my eardrums. I locked myself inside the library. For a while, everything remained quiet. Then I noticed a journal resting on a desk. The pages were yellow with age. The final entries belonged to a woman named Eleanor Blackwood. According to the journal, the family had moved into the house in 1911. Almost immediately, strange events began occurring. Whispers at night. Shadow figures. Children speaking to invisible people. Then came the disappearances. One family member every few months. Gone without explanation. The final entry chilled me to the bone. It read, "He lives beneath the house. He wears our faces. Tonight he comes for the rest of us. If anyone finds this journal, do not stay after 3:17. I checked my watch. 3:16 a.m. A loud knock echoed through the library. 3 knocks. Slow. Deliberate. Then a voice. My voice. Open the door. I nearly screamed. Again. Open the door. The voice sounded exactly like mine. Every detail. Every inflection. The doorknob began turning. Slowly. Back and forth. I backed away. The knocking stopped. For several seconds, there was silence. Then, something whispered directly beside my ear. Too late. The lights from my flashlight died instantly. Darkness swallowed everything. I heard people moving all around me. Hundreds of them. Breathing. Whispering. Laughing. Then I saw eyes. Thousands of eyes opening throughout the darkness. Watching. Waiting. At exactly 3:17, the grandfather clock struck. 1, 2, 3. The sound echoed through the house, each chime louder than the last. And then the floor beneath me collapsed. I fell into darkness. I landed hard on damp earth. The air smelled rotten, ancient. I shined my failing flashlight around. The basement stretched farther than seemed possible. Its walls disappeared into darkness. And there they were. The missing family. Hundreds of them, standing perfectly still. Their bodies looked preserved despite their age. Their eyes remained open. Every one of them staring towards something behind me. I turned. A figure stood in the darkness, nearly 8 feet tall. Its body twisted unnaturally. Its skin hung in strips. And its face changed constantly. A child, an old woman, a man, a teenager. Dozens of faces shifting every second. Then I recognized one. Mine. The creature smiled, using my own face. The preserved body suddenly began moving. Slowly at first, then all at once. They rushed toward me. I ran. I don't remember how I escaped. I remember screaming. I remember climbing. I remember crashing through a window.
Then waking up beside my vehicle at sunrise. The house stood silent on the hill. For a moment, I wondered if everything had been a nightmare. Then I checked my camera. Every photograph remained. The family portraits, the smiling faces, the woman in the chair. and one final image. A photograph I never took. It showed me standing inside the basement. The creature beside me, its hand resting on my shoulder. Exactly like the figure in the old family portrait. I've never returned to Blackwood Hill. But sometimes, at 3:17 in the morning, my phone receives a notification. An image. No sender, no number. Just a photograph. Each time, the creature appears closer. And in the most recent picture, it's standing behind me, smiling, waiting for me to come home.